Good morning and welcome to the Macclesfield Town Planning Committee meeting. This is on the 27th of November 2020, 10 a.m. We start with apologies for absence, and we have apologies from Councillor Roberts. Okay. Declarations of interest. Do we have those? No, I declare a non-pecuniary interest in the item 20/4906, which is the building of a boundary fence at Fallingrove School, as I was a teacher at the school for 1 year. Moving on to the minutes of the Planning Committee held on the 6th of November 2020. Do you have somebody to propose those? As Councillor Jackson to propose and Councillor Wilson seconded. Those in favour? Those a true record? And that's all.
Yeah, sorry, just so can I just make a comment, sorry, that when Councillor Edwards is not on video, we can't actually see that on him on Zoom, but he is present at the meeting.
Thank you.
I'll try and stay on.
Matters arising from those minutes. Do you have any matters arising? No. Well, we'll move on then to the planning applications. And the first planning application is 20/1080W, which is the change of use of site from a vehicle recovery depot to a waste recycling centre. That's with the installation of a weighbridge, and this is in Titherington. It's a temporary application for 3 years. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. We have discussed this application before and we have resolved to object to it, and I believe that we should still do the same thing. But I do think it's worth us revisiting the reasons for doing that. As we all know, this is an application for a waste site which is in a residential area, which is clearly unsuitable because of the impact of noise, traffic and pollution is going to have a detrimental effect on the well-being of residents. And access to the site is through a restricted 7.5 tonne restriction zone, and will make a breach of this order a regular occurrence because restrictions don't cover access. They don't cover access, so 7.5 tonne lorries can go down a road that was never designed to have vehicles that weight because they are going to this location. The storing and processing of waste will have a detrimental effect on the health of children and elderly residents who live near the site, and really no amount of restrictions to this proposal will remove the danger of excessive traffic in a residential area, the health risks associated with that, and the noise impact on residents. So back in May at our planning committee, we objected to the application on the grounds of the harmful impact on the health of residents in the area, safety concerns resulting from large vehicles travelling on residential roads, noise disturbance created by large vehicles visiting the site, noise disturbance from the site, noxious smells from the site, fumes resulting from an increase in traffic, concerns of the potential for hazardous waste, disturbance of existing contaminants on the site, and the increase to air pollution. And having read through the many more objections from residents that have come on the portal since we last did this back in May, I also want to add the danger from flying debris on a waste transfer site, potential contamination of the River Bollin due to the runoff of contaminated water, and also disturbance to rare wildlife. It's come to light since we last discussed this. There's a very rare species of common lizard living in this area, which will be damaged by this application. And a recent request to develop the wooded area next to this site was actually advised against because of the risk to the lizards. So we must consider this as part of this planning application. The final point I want to make is that this is a temporary application for a 3-year period. It's very difficult to see how this isn't going to be a permanent situation. And so I think that it would be far preferable if the applicant had made an application for a permanent change I can't see how this will remain temporary after all the work proposed to change the site use. So I would like us to continue to object to the proposition with the additional points I've made.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Edwards, did you want to speak next?
Could I just, on a point of fact, could I just point out that it isn't actually in Titherington, it's in Herdsfield ward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I was just going to mention that it's on Herdsfield and that it's got objections have been expressed by all the councillors on Herdsfield, both Cheshire East and Town Council. They object to this application, which is at the end of Widdyfold Drive on Herdsfield, for those who might not be aware of its location. I fully support everything that's been said, and if Councillor Wilson is proposing that motion, then I will second it. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion proposed by Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Jackson. And those in favour? And that's all. Thank you very much. So we move on to the second application. This is 20/4698M, and this is a full planning application for demolition of existing structures and construction of dwelling houses and a building providing residential apartments. This is on Goodall Street. Anybody like to speak on this? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I object to this application. The main reason being that there are no affordable properties. 26 properties are applied for, 14 houses and 12 flats, and in the usual the 30% affordable that we ask for, that would be eight properties. And just out of interest, we have 1,504 residents on the housing waiting list in Macclesfield. So affordable housing is something that there's a dire need for it, and any site, a development site, should supply its share of affordable housing. Also, there's a concern about the density of housing on this site, so I would propose that we object on those two grounds: lack of affordable housing and density on the site.
Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I'd like to second Councillor Jackson's proposal.
Okay, anybody else like to speak? No. So we have proposal from Councillor Jackson, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Those in favour? And that's all. Thank you. Application 3. This is 20/4738M, and this is a variation on condition 9 of an approval previously made, and this is at the Picturedrome on Chestergate in Macclesfield. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. This application is on my ward, on Central Ward in the town, and it's been quite a controversial application from the start, but was given permission and is a successful business. Just has some impact on the neighbours, and this is where I have my concern with this. This variation of condition 9 is to extend the delivery hours, servicing and delivery. At the moment, it stands at 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 in the evening, every day of the week. That does include Sundays. And the proposal, it may seem only a minor change to open a little earlier at 7:30 in the morning, but that will have a real impact on the neighbours. The delivery yard is at the back It's not on Chestergate, and the lorries have to go through an opening in Catherine Street between two properties, through and into the back. There's a lot of manoeuvring has to take place with the bleeping, as we know, on these vehicles, and then the removal of waste and making deliveries, which can be very noisy. I'm thinking about removing crates with bottles in, the crashing and banging, and it isn't acceptable. The neighbours are having to put up with deliveries starting from 8 o'clock in the morning, and I think that's more than enough, and so I would oppose the 7:30 change. So I object to this change.
Anybody else like to speak on that? Councillor Wilson?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I second Councillor Jackson's proposal for all the reasons she stated. It's a particularly dense area with houses around, and to have that type of noise and disruption from 7:30 in the morning, I think is unacceptable. I support the objection.
Okay, so we have a proposal by Councillor Jackson, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Those in favour of that? We have 3. Councillor Edwards, you abstain. Thank you. Right, moving on to the 4th application. This is 20/4848M, and this is for a detached garage and vehicle access on Ednesbury Road. Anyone like to speak on this? No? Should we take it there's no objections?
Can we just stipulate that it's subject to the flood report? I think it is, isn't it, Janet?
Yes, there has been a flood. There is could be a flood risk there, so I know they have asked for a report on it. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Application 5, which is 20/4569M, which is the conversion of a conservatory into a single-storey extension. And this is on Brocklehurst Avenue. Anyone want to speak on that? So again, it's subject to following flood risk management advice. Okay, so no objections there. Application 6. This is 20/4866M, which is an extension to existing residential buildings. This is a Craven House. Any comments on this one? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. This is Craven House in the middle of the town centre there, being altered to become residential properties, and it's had permission for most of the building now, and this is just an extra apartment on the roof. There is one apartment there already on the 5th floor, and this is now will be adjacent to that. I think there's the structure goes a little higher than it did, but in its position and the style of the building, I don't have an issue with it, and I would say no objection to this.
Okay, so no objections. Moving on to application number 7. This is 20/4921M, and this is a single-storey rear and side extension in Arlington Drive. No objections to that? Oh, Councillor Jackson.
I'll just make a comment on reading this. There was an objection from the next door neighbour, who was very concerned about possible overlooking from this extension for this property. And so I looked at the plans carefully, and there is no window opening in the side elevation for the extension. Only what's there already in the gable end of the building. So there'll be no further overlooking by the next door property to them. So I don't have an objection on that.
Okay, thank you for that. So no objections. Application 8. This is 20/4850M, and it's a proposed detached dwelling on the land between 31 and 33 Pool Street. Any comments on this? No, so we have no objections to that. Application 9, it is the 20/4932M, and this is for a demolition of a garage and proposed 2-storey side and single-storey rear extension. This is on Chester Road. So we have no objections to that. Application 10, which is 20/4867M, and this is at the Fairways Garden Centre, external space into retail space on Bulks Lane. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, thank you. I have no objection to this application, which is a conversion of the current outdoor area to have more of a covering. But I do want to highlight that the Conservation Officer has made some comments on this application. And so therefore my support is conditional upon the recommendations from the Conservation Officer being accepted and adhered to.
Councillor Jackson.
Also, I'd just like to comment on the Environmental Health Department have suggested hours of working for construction while this work is being undertaken.
Thank you. So we have no objections subject to those conditions being met. Next we have 20/4936M, which is the double-storey side extension in Rybank Way. So we have no objections to that. Next application 20/4909M, which is a single-storey rear and side extension in Brampton Avenue. Again, no objections there. Next application is 20/4761M. This is a change of use from a hairdresser to a beautician's, and it's on Catherine Street, Macclesfield. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. This is in fact a change of use from hairdresser and beautician to a 2-bedroom dwelling.
Yeah.
I know it well on the corner there. Yes, I have no objection to it. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarity. Next, application 20/4963M, which is the conversion of a garage to form a bedroom with ensuite shower facilities and storeroom. And this is on Westbury Drive. No objections there. Next application is 20/4988M, and this is a 2-storey front and side extension. We'll have new elevations, and this is on Whitfield in Macclesfield, near the hospital. No objections there. Next application is 20/4991M, which is a 1st floor extension side and rear on Blakelow Road. Again, no objections there. Next application is 20/4997M, two-storey side extension on Sutton Close off London Road. No objections there. Next we have 204858M, two-storey front extension on Kingston Avenue. No objections to that either. Next we have 20/4983M, single-storey rear extension on Ashton Avenue in the Worley area. No objections to that. Application 20/5036M is application for a first floor extension over a garage and front entrance changes. This is an amended application. It's at Bell Farm Court, Titherington. So no comments or objections there. Next application 20/5061M. This is the first floor extension, garage space being converted into a room on Fernley Drive near the hospital. No objections to that. And finally we have application 20/4906M, which is the provision of boundary fence and associated gates at the Fallybroom Academy. And we have no comments or objections there either. So very rapidly through those applications. Thank you very much. So we move on to item 6 on the agenda, which is the conservation area review, to note any updates. Does anybody want to speak on that? Councillor Wilson.
Well, just a very quick update that we have now received applications. The closing date has gone past. We've gone through those to check they have met the specifications, and myself, Councillor Jackson, and yourself, Chair, will be going through those with the Town Clerk and the Applicant Governance Manager to test them against the criteria we set in the information to tender document, and we'll be reporting back to the committee in due course.
Thank you very much. Moving on to 7, which is the town character assessment. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, thank you. We're continuing to make good progress with the character assessment, and as a result of the decision at our last meeting, we now have set out some terms of reference for a working group to discuss this issue. These terms of reference are in the pack for this meeting, and they are detailed in there. They will develop a character assessment, we'll engage with Cheshire East Council planning officers, and we will report to the planning committee and full council in due course. So these terms of reference are before us for agreements today.
Councillor Jackson.
Sorry, forgot to unmute myself.
No, we need your dulcet tones. Yeah.
Yes, just looking at the terms, in the section on meetings, which is the final part of the terms of reference, point 1, where it reads meetings are to be held via Zoom, which, yes, I totally agree that we prefer Zoom over Teams, which I know is an application that Cheshire East use, but for our meetings with them, we prefer Zoom. But I think we need to just have something else in there, because we hope, you know, when we're coming out of this, that we will have face-to-face meetings. So while we're having remote meetings, Zoom is the preferred option, but I think we just maybe need something in there to just mention that, you know, we would hope to have face-to-face meetings at a future date.
Yeah, and the wording on that, yes, from the clerk, admin.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to, at this point, would it be worth just saying who's actually going to sit on the working group? So we have Councillor Hutchinson, Councillor Jackson and Councillor Wilson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we propose that we accept those terms of reference. Do we need to do that?
Yeah.
So that's yeah, proposed by Councillor Jackson, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Those in favour? Councillor Edwards with us. Thank you very much. So we have carried that through. So correspondence, there isn't any correspondence, and there are number 9. There are no members' items today. So the date and place of next meeting, and that date is at 10 AM on the 18th of December, very close to Christmas, and the format again will be Zoom. So thank you very much, everybody.